We're going in with the first wave. Means more bugs for us to kill. You smash the entire area. You kill anything that has more than 2 legs. You get me? We get you, sir!
As all of you are aware, another core set has been released for Magic the Gathering. This one focusing on feminist personalities.
It's the Gulf of Mexico! Mexico! Gulf of Mexico!
No, just kidding. I mean dragons, focusing on dragons. Entitled Tarkir, Dragonstorm, the set contains a plethora of such creatures and a host of support cards, most crafted with a dragon theme. The set has been out now for a few weeks, and as a player of the game, I have to admit, I kind of like this one. I mean, okay, sure, as with all Magic sets, some of the cards are crap and a portion of the rares absolute trash. However, if you target your purchases, the useful cards are not that difficult to come by. In other words, let other people buy in bulk, and then you just buy singles off the secondary market. That's the way to do it.
He ain't lying.
Okay, one positive thing about Tarkir Dragonstorm is the quality of the pre-con commander decks. Numbering 5 in total, when compared to other sets, they tend to be of higher quality and therefore of greater use to the casual pre-con player. My favorite of the 5 is the Tothmonra deck. I think I'm saying that correctly. Anyway, it is also the most expensive of the bunch, but it is a finely tuned commander deck packed with quite useful cards, and I have yet to lose a game while playing with it. A particular note is the card Dragon Tempest, which allows you to deal direct damage as you bring your dragon creatures onto the field. Combine this with Tiamat and the enchantment Omniscience, and it is game over, man.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
I also like Elspeth Stormslayer, a very effective planeswalker for use in token decks, and Urani of the Unwritten. Urani? Let's try that one again. Urani of the Unwritten, a commander card which allows one to quickly rifle through their decks and find the dragon cards you need to get out onto the battlefield. There is good synergy to be found in this set. So if you are a player of Magic the Gathering and you like fighting your battles with big, beefy creatures, I suggest buying one of the pre-cons first and then building from there. Oh, by the way, the SpongeBob set was a joke. Okay, once again I want to talk about Starship Troopers Extermination. I spoke about this game during the prior podcast, but now having more playtime invested in the game, I feel it worthy of another few minutes. What you are watching is casual play captured from one of my recent play sessions. I enjoy playing in Sniper Spec, particularly when going shot for shot against one of the gunner bugs, the enemy's version of the sniper class. All that aside, this game is fast-paced, intense, challenging without being obnoxious, engaging, and just plain fun. And most importantly, a game not overrun by dickheads expressly trying to take all the fun out of playing it.
He ain't lying.
If you haven't given this game a chance, consider it. Many people stream it, to include both myself and Casper Van Diem, General Rico himself. I suppose the greatest accolade I can place on this game is, if you have gaming time to invest, this game is worth the time.
Kill them all. Yeah! Oh yeah! Yeah! Oh yeah!
Okay, in other news, Snow White flops again. Poor Rachel Ziegler can't catch a break.
Weird.
After having been declared a box office bomb following its initial release and amassing a 1.7 out of 10 rating on IMDb, Disney made the decision to re-release the film to the 1,000 theaters over the weekend of May 10th. The average intake for those theaters, unfortunate enough to show the film, amounted to $141 per day. As this article details, Disney somehow found a way to make Snow White flop again. Disney Studios released one of the biggest box office disasters in movie history earlier in 2025 with this live-action adaptation of Snow White. For some inexplicable reason, Disney decided that this atrocious performance warranted a re-release this month. Apparently the studio believed that with many schools now out, parents would flock to take their children to a poorly reviewed, controversial movie. And of course, it didn't work. As it says here, earned on average just $171 per theater. Okay, well that's a little better than the $141 I reported, but still, with a rough average of $15 per ticket, at least that means the film sold just 10 to 12 tickets for an entire day's worth of showings. I think, I suppose enough is enough, really, when talking about this film, but the reason I wanted to bring it up again, or the reason I chose to bring it up again, is because Rachel Ziegler was such an annoyance in the months the years leading up to this film.
Weird.
That it's one of those sort of righteous retribution moments, You hate to see this happen to people, except people like Rachel Ziegler, so...
It's Hollywood, baby.
There you go, $171 per day. Speaking of poorly received movies, why I think the next Fantastic Four movie will suck. Now, as I talked about elsewhere, I had high hopes for Marvel's The Thunderbolts. And admittedly, The Thunderbolts wasn't a bad movie. I actually kind of enjoyed it. It was far more superior than the film Captain America Brave New World, and truthfully a better film of any Marvel has released since Avengers Endgame. The problem with that statement is, of course, the sheer volume of crap Marvel has released since Avengers Endgame. And that includes She-Hulk. But even though The Thunderbolts was a decent film, ultimately it serves only as a precursor to, or as a setup vehicle for, the next Fantastic Four movie, and then Avengers Doomsday. The problem with that? For different reasons, I think the Fantastic Four movie is also going to be a flop. I mean, it'll make a couple $100 million, but when you consider what they're paying to make these things, a film like that has to sort of take in at least 3 times what it cost to consider to have broken even. And I don't think Fantastic Four is going to come anywhere near that. One reason is the prior films. Way back in 2004, I guess it was, they released the first Fantastic Four film with Jessica Alba. And it did okay. It was a decent film. I thought it was well cast, if nothing else. But then the Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer turned out to be a flop. And then for contractual reasons, about 10 years ago, they had to make and release another film in order to keep the film-making rights. And so they came out with Fantastic Four Stick, and that film was horrible. I mean, just absolutely horrible. And it doesn't set a good precedent. Neither one of those two franchises, neither one of those two efforts sets a good precedent for what is going to follow. And then you add in Pedro Pascal fatigue. I mean, I can't turn on my kitchen sink without seeing that guy.
Why are you calling me Hannah? Who are ya?
Enough is enough. He is in practically everything that comes out, and it's why I've always objected to the casting of Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic. I think it was just a very poor choice for who that character is. And longtime readers of the comic and who know the history of the comic and the character, I think would be forced to agree. Okay, that aside, the Fantastic Four, this particular bunch comes out of the Multiverse Saga. If you watch the preview for the Fantastic Four, it's clear that they're in an alternate universe, an alternate reality, and then somehow come over to ours, which can be seen at the end. The end credit scene that was done for the Thunderbolt shows the Fantastic Four spaceship approaching Earth. So they make a multiverse crossover out of it. But we also have this article here, which talks about reshoots. Trouble in Paradise, the Fantastic Four First Steps is going through reshoots. This is dated May 10th of 2025. The film is set to release on July 25th of 2025. That's 2 months. 2 months from now. And the film is still in reshoots. How many times have we seen that lately? And look at this still image from the preview of the Silver Surfer. Well, at least she's got boobs. But man, if that's the final edit, if that's the ultimate quality of what the CGI is going to look like, then they're not really putting much effort into this thing. Reshoots often raise eyebrows, but are a standard part of blockbuster filmmaking. For the Fantastic Four first steps, the additional photography seems tied to fine-tuning the film after test screenings. That isn't necessarily a red flag, it says. But I give you Captain America Brave New World, which had so many reshoots that by the time the film actually hit the theater, it was a Frankenstein's monster. And it showed. Alright, set photos reveal Julia Garner, who plays Shala Ball, the MCU's female Silver Surfer, filming a striking oceanside scene clad in cosmic-inspired gown. Wow. That's really what I want to see when I go to a Fantastic Four movie. I want to see the Silver Surfer standing on the beach. That's exactly why I would go spend my money, okay? The news of reshoots has generated mixed reactions among fans. And all I'm going to say about it, and then I'm going to get off this subject, all I'm going to say about it is that reshoots this late into the game are never, I don't care what they say, they're never a good indicator, a positive indicator for the film. They always just reek of, as it says, trouble in paradise. So I think the Fantastic Four, this one is also going to flop. I hate to see that happen. I really do, because I've been a Marvel fan and a Fantastic Four fan. But if the previous Fantastic Four film is any indicator of success when attempting to translate the FF to the comics, from the comics to the big screen, then this version wasn't simply dead on arrival. It was dead at inception. Okay, and finally, Lara Croft. We have another article here. This one I found at Game Insider, I think. Andor's Elizabeth Dulal wants to play this iconic video game character. And if you read the article, it says she's talking about Lara Croft. Okay, there's been talk of another Tomb Raider movie being in production for some time now. And as it says here, Sophie Turner from Game of Thrones was reportedly in talks to play Lara Croft in Amazon Prime Video's live-action Tomb Raider series. But unconfirmed reports, as said here, suggest that the project may be dead. Amazon's live-action Tomb Raider show from Fleabag's Phoebe Waller-Bridge could be dead. Well, if it has anything to do with Phoebe Waller-Bridge, then yeah, let's hope it's dead. But Amazon could, if they really wanted to, try, they could make a good Tomb Raider movie, or Tomb Raider series, if they stuck to the core material. But how often does that happen? That seems to be the curse of all of these projects, is that they want to take the source. They want to take the core material and update it for a modern audience, which means they're going to take the core material and just trash it. And I don't really know. I don't watch Andor. I'm not a Star Wars fan. So I don't really have much of an idea who this Elizabeth Dulal woman is. But it doesn't really matter when it comes to the character. And if they have an effective actress to play the role in an effective story, it can be good. But if all they want to do is just put more messaging crap up on the film, then no one should touch it. Lara Croft is too iconic to be turned over to a bunch of hacks. They're going to crank out something along the lines of Rings of Power.
But you have not seen what I've seen.
I have seen my share.
You have not seen what I have seen.
Then, on a final note, there is The Last of Us Season 2.
We're all having a baby. Holy shit. I'm gonna be a dad.
What?
I don't think you have the facilities for that, big man.
Compared to that, the Thunderbolts was Citizen Kane.
Rosebud.
Moving on to our next segment.
I'm here to see Anna Miller.
Well, you got to sign in like everyone else. What's your name?
Lara?
Lara.
Croft.